Yeah, hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Web Studio Richter. Today we are talking about a nice CSS feature which is rather not so often used, though it's really helpful. It is called the HSLA. So with that you can just adjust colors and set colors in CSS that you are usually used to with let's say hexadecimal or other versions you can use in CSS. So you can as well just write, if you have a background color, just write red or green or something. But you're always like very unsure, do the colors fit, or maybe the client just wants it a bit brighter. How can I make this color just a bit brighter, but I don't want to actually change anything else in the color? So this is always not such a easy task if you're not using these tools like HSLA. And it is just in the beginning really supported by any browser, just not the Internet Explorer 8 and lower. But slowly, in my opinion, I guess if you are not having a special reason to support these browsers, they can just be ignored anyway. But as always, let's start with a nice example. So we will create just 3 div containers and give them all an ID. First div, the second div, and the last one. Okay. Div container number 3. So it's really basic and simple. We don't need anything more. This is all our HTML markup we need. And we will do the body here 100%. The width as well 100%. Margin and padding 0. So let's start by giving the div container some kind of a dimension. So we will just make it, let's say, 150 pixels in the width, and the height as well 150 pixels. Width, of course. So, and that we can distinguish them better. Let's make a margin of 20 pixels, all of them. So that's actually all about it. Let's now give them colors so that we can actually see these div containers. So let's make it the classical way and just give the one here kind of a color of, let's say, I don't know, make it red. So here it is. And we make the same with 2. Here we want to give another color as well, just in this classical way. Background color, let's say green. And if we do it this way, we need as well blue, of course. Then we have the RGB range of colors. Background color blue. Alright, so that's what we actually do normally if we want to color something in CSS. But let's see some kind of new version that is really much more flexible. So I have here kind of a color wheel. Don't be afraid, we will not talk about theory of color now. This is much too exhaustive anyway. I will give you some links if we are interested in that. Of course, it's really useful to know it, but for this tutorial it's not needed. Just for some kind of an overview. So here you're having this like a color wheel, and it's like RGB colors. You can recognize here RGB, red, green, blue, and you see they are like divided by temperatures or grades. You see here, so 0 grade is like in the red sphere, 120 grade 120 degrees is like in the green sphere, and another 120 plus is 240 degrees is like in the blue sphere, and another one is like we are again at the red sphere. So you can just see that all the complementary colors you can just add. So to keep it short, like red, green, blue, it's always 120 degrees in difference. So let's make the red color here now with the HSLA function. It looks like that, and you are starting with H, so this is called hue, and the hue is just this color you're picking here by degrees, so we will make it red, so it's 0 or 360. Of course you can use it well. Then we are going to the S standing for saturation. So the saturation of the color we want 100%, so the full red we want. And the next one is the lightness. The lightness shall be like in the middle, so let's say it's like 50%. And the A is just like the alpha color, the alpha channel, so it's like transparency. It's very useful. You see, you can already hear without having any opacity or something in the color, say you can set the transparency. So we want the transparency here 1, so it's like no transparency at all. Okay, we have a syntax error here. So now we are having this red color here by setting it by HSLA. So again, the first set is the hue from this color wheel here. So you see red 0 degrees or 360 degrees. The second one is the saturation of the color, so the strands, and here we are saying 100% we want. Then we go to the lightness, which is like in the middle, so 50%, not too dark, not too light. And the alpha channel is setting the transparency. So perfectly, you can see now this color is easily set, and we can just continue by doing that with the green color. So I will just copy and paste it. And just make the green color via the degrees, so it's like 120 degrees. And you see we're having a perfect green now. And the last one we can make blue, and as you already guessed it, maybe it's 240 degrees for blue, and here you have it. So that's not all about it. So you see it's actually kind of a more complex syntax here. Why shall I actually use it? Of course it's a good question here, but you will see in the next step what this HSLA function can help you with, and why it is much more better and advanced than the usual setting of color via hexadecimal. So, for example, your client is saying the red is fine, but I actually wanted to have it just a bit lighter. So, and you see you are having lightness here, so you can just make the lightness a bit up, and you see this red is changing to more lightness, but the actual color is not changing. It's actually just the lightness which is changing. So with hexadecimal this is really complicated, or can get really complicated, but that's really easy. Or you want to make a darker red, you see you can make it darker. That's really perfect. The same thing is with saturation. Yeah, you can just set the saturation a bit lower, so for 50, so it's just not such a strands in the red. That's really useful as well. So let's talk about some color designs now. Color designs, so you say which colors are actually belonging to each other. So you can use some kind of tools in the internet for generating you some kind of color schemes, but here with HSLA you can actually really simple and really fast do it on your own. So complementary colors. In HSLA, very easy. Complementary colors are on this color wheel always on the other side of the wheel, so 180 degrees plus. So 0 and 180, and you're having here complementary colors. That's really easy, as you can see. And the next one we will make is then again, of course, red. Yeah? So you see this is complementary colors easily set up. Another way is to set up analog colors. So you want to have colors which are actually very close to each other. Then you can just make something like 20 or 30 degrees up, and you are having a perfect scheme of colors which are like in a kind of an analog row. Or better, here I would make 0, or better 360 degrees minus 30, so this would be like 330. So these colors are fitting together in an analog way. And the second one, which is very usually, we want to make a more monochromatic color scheme. So set up all to red now. And here you just need to change the saturation, so the second value, and change it like for, let's say, 30%. So we are making here 30%, here we make 60%, and here maybe 90%. And so you see, so this is like monochromatic scheme now, which is like just different in its saturation. Not at all in its hue, not at all in its lightness, not at all in its alpha channel, just the saturation is different here. And you see, it's really easy. You don't have to think about it anymore really deeply. You don't have to check up all the time with some kind of tools. Is it right? Is it fitting together? Especially if you're not a profi in color theory. So, and the last one, what we can use, the last value, what is used here, so let it make saturation again 100%. Okay. And the last one, the last value, or the third value better, is like the lightness here. So that's not a lot to explain. If you give it a 0, it's like no lightness at all. So it's black, of course. But if you give it like 10%, 20%, or 30%, you see it's getting brighter and brighter. The hue, the saturation is always the same, just the color lightness is changing here till 100%, and you guess it, that's right, that's then white color. So the alpha channel, the opacity, there's actually not a lot to say. So this is like the transparency of this box. We don't have a background picture here now, so actually I want to make it fastly. I will pause this video for a second. So you can see I made just a background image here now fastly up on the body, and it's like just some nice fruits here in the background to let you see what the transparency can actually do for you. So we are having here in the first box now, for example, a transparency of 1, so it's like no transparency. We could make a transparency of 0, this is like 100% transparency. But we can as well now, like the opacity in CSS, change it to half transparency, or like a bit more, or 7 or 9, and finally 1. So you see as well, this is easy to use, and actually that's all about it, HSLA, the HSLA function. And I will give you some nice links to it, some nice tutorials which go deeper in the topic, and as well some links about color theory if you are interested in that. But if you don't have the time, or if you really don't feel like to learn like all the theory stuff now, here you see that with some complementary colors, minus and plus 180 degrees in hue, or monochromatic, just changing with a few percentages, 30% up and down saturation, or analog colors, like changing the hues in 30% up and down just a bit. You see, you just have much more flexibility with this tool. So I hope you learned something today. I'm looking forward for your comments, and see you soon. Goodbye.